Metal-clad cable, commonly referred to as MC cable, requires specific support intervals to ensure secure and compliant electrical installations. The question of how close to the termination point in a 2x4 fixture MC cable must be strapped is addressed by electrical codes, such as the National Electrical Code or NEC. The requirement is not 12 inches. According to the NEC, MC cable must be supported within 18 inches of the point of termination. This requirement is crucial for several reasons. Firstly, proper support prevents undue stress on the cable and its terminations. Unsupported cables can sag or move, potentially loosening connections at the termination points. This can lead to arcing, overheating, and ultimately, electrical failures or even fires. Secondly, supporting the cable within 18 inches of the termination ensures that the cable remains securely in place, reducing the risk of physical damage from impact or vibration. Thirdly, compliance with the NEC is essential for safety and legal reasons. Electrical inspectors will verify that installations meet code requirements, and failure to comply can result in rejected inspections and potential liability in the event of an accident. The NEC provides detailed guidelines on cable support, including the types of supports allowed and the maximum spacing between supports. For MC cable, typical support methods include cable ties, straps, and clamps specifically designed for this purpose. These supports must be securely fastened to the building structure to provide adequate support. The 18-inch rule applies to the distance from the termination point to the nearest support. This means that the first support must be located no more than 18 inches away from where the cable enters the electrical box, fixture, or other equipment. In addition to the 18-inch rule, the NEC also specifies the maximum spacing between supports along the cable run. Generally, MC cable must be supported at intervals not exceeding 6 feet. This ensures that the cable is adequately supported throughout its entire length, preventing sagging and maintaining its integrity. When installing MC cable, it is important to carefully consider the specific requirements of the NEC and any local amendments to the code. Local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or more stringent standards than the NEC. It is also essential to use appropriate tools and techniques to ensure that the cable is properly installed and supported. Incorrectly installed supports can damage the cable or fail to provide adequate support. Some additional points to consider when supporting MC cable. Firstly, use listed or approved supports. Only use cable ties, straps, and clamps that are specifically listed or approved for use with MC cable. These supports have been tested and certified to meet safety standards and provide adequate support. Secondly, avoid over-tightening supports. Over-tightening cable ties or straps can damage the cable jacket and conductors. Tighten supports just enough to secure the cable without causing damage. Thirdly, protect cables from physical damage. When running MC cable in areas where it may be subject to physical damage, such as in exposed locations or near machinery, provide additional protection, such as conduit or guards. Fourthly, consider the environment. In corrosive environments, use supports made of corrosion-resistant materials, such as stainless steel or plastic. Fifthly, maintain proper clearances. Ensure that MC cable is installed with adequate clearances from heat sources, such as lighting fixtures and heating equipment. The NEC specifies minimum clearance requirements to prevent overheating and damage to the cable. Sixthly, follow manufacturer's instructions. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions for installing and supporting MC cable and its associated fittings. Seventhly, inspect installations regularly. Periodically inspect MC cable installations to ensure that supports are still in place and that the cable is not damaged. Repair or replace any damaged or missing supports promptly. Eighthly, be aware of local codes. Local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or more stringent standards than the NEC. Be sure to check with the local electrical inspector to determine the specific requirements for your area. Ninthly, use the correct tools. Using the correct tools and techniques is essential for installing and supporting MC cable properly. Use a cable cutter to cut the cable cleanly and avoid damaging the conductors. Use a cable stripper to remove the cable jacket without nicking the conductors. 10thly, ensure proper grounding. Ensure that the NC cable is properly grounded according to the NEC. This is essential for safety and to prevent electrical shock hazards. Grounding typically involves connecting the metal sheath of the cable to a grounding electrode system. The 18-inch support rule near terminations is a critical safety requirement that must be followed to ensure safe and compliant electrical installations. By understanding and adhering to this rule, electricians and other qualified professionals can help to prevent electrical failures, fires, and other hazards. Remember to consult the latest edition of the NEC and any applicable local codes for the most up-to-date requirements. The NEC section 300.11 provides general rules on securing and supporting wiring methods. This section emphasizes the importance of providing secure support for all wiring, including MC cable. It also prohibits the use of ceiling support wires or cables for supporting raceways and cables unless specifically permitted by the NEC. The NEC section 330 specifically addresses MC cable and provides detailed requirements for its installation and support. This section covers the types of supports allowed, the maximum spacing between supports, and the requirements for supporting cable near terminations. It also addresses the use of MC cable in various applications such as in exposed and concealed locations and in dry and wet locations. The NEC section 330.30 outlines the specific requirements for securing and supporting MC cable. This section states that MC cable must be secured and supported by staples, cable ties, straps, or similar fittings designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. It also specifies the maximum spacing between supports, which is typically 6 feet. The NEC section 330.30 also includes the 18-inch rule for supporting MC cable near terminations. This section states that MC cable must be supported within 18 inches of every box, cabinet, fitting, or other cable termination. The purpose of this requirement is to prevent stress on the cable and its terminations, and to ensure that the cable remains securely in place. In addition to the NEC, other standards and regulations may also apply to the installation and support of MC cable. These may include state and local electrical codes, as well as industry standards such as those published by the National Electrical Manufacturers Association or NEMA. It is important to be familiar with all applicable requirements before installing MC cable to ensure that the installation is safe, compliant, and reliable. Improperly supported MC cable can pose a significant safety hazard. If the cable is not adequately supported, it can sag or move, potentially loosening connections at the termination points. This can lead to arcing, overheating, and ultimately, electrical failures or fires. In addition, unsupported cable can be more susceptible to physical damage from impact or vibration. This can also lead to electrical failures and safety hazards. It is therefore essential to take the time to properly support MC cable according to the requirements of the NEC and other applicable standards. This will help to ensure that the installation is safe, compliant, and reliable. When selecting supports for MC cable, it is important to choose the right type of support for the application. There are a variety of different types of supports available, including staples, cable ties, straps, and clamps. Each type of support has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the best choice will depend on the specific circumstances of the installation. For example, staples are a simple and inexpensive option for securing MC cable to wood framing. However, staples can damage the cable if they are not installed properly. Cable ties are a versatile option that can be used to support MC cable in a variety of applications. However, cable ties can loosen over time if they are not tightened properly. Straps are a more secure option than cable ties, and they are less likely to loosen over time. However, straps can be more difficult to install than cable ties. Clamps are the most secure option for supporting MC cable, and they are ideal for applications where the cable is subject to vibration or physical damage. However, clamps are also the most expensive option. In addition to the type of support, it is also important to consider the material of the support. Supports are available in a variety of materials, including steel, aluminum, and plastic. The best choice of material will depend on the environment in which the cable is being installed. For example, in corrosive environments, it is important to use supports made of corrosion-resistant materials such as stainless steel or plastic. It is also important to ensure that the supports are compatible with the MC cable. Some supports are not designed for use with MC cable, and using the wrong type of support can damage the cable. Always check the manufacturer's instructions to ensure that the supports are compatible with the cable. When installing supports for MC cable, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Incorrectly installed supports can damage the cable or fail to provide adequate support. It is also important to avoid over-tightening the supports. Over-tightening can damage the cable jacket and conductors, which can lead to electrical failures and safety hazards. Tighten the supports just enough to secure the cable without causing damage. In addition to the 18-inch rule and the maximum spacing between supports, there are other considerations to keep in mind when supporting MC cable. These include, firstly, avoid sharp bends. Avoid bending MC cable sharply, as this can damage the cable jacket and conductors. The NEC specifies minimum bending radius requirements for MC cable. Secondly, protect cables from physical damage. When running MC cable in areas where it may be subject to physical damage, provide additional protection, such as conduit or gauze. Thirdly, maintain proper clearances. Ensure that MC cable is installed with adequate clearances from heat sources, such as lighting fixtures and heating equipment. The NEC specifies minimum clearance requirements to prevent overheating and damage to the cable. Fourthly, avoid contact with incompatible materials. Avoid running MC cable in contact with materials that may damage the cable jacket or conductors, such as corrosive chemicals or solvent. Fifthly, ensure proper grounding. Ensure that the MC cable is properly grounded according to the NEC. This is essential for safety and to prevent electrical shock hazards. Grounding typically involves connecting the metal sheath of the cable to a grounding electrode system. Sixthly, inspect installations regularly. Periodically inspect MC cable installations to ensure that supports are still in place and that the cable is not damaged. Repair or replace any damaged or missing supports promptly. Seventhly, be aware of local codes. Local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or more stringent standards than the NEC. Be sure to check with the local electrical inspector to determine the specific requirements for your area. Eighthly, use qualified personnel. MC cable should only be installed by qualified personnel who are familiar with the requirements of the NEC and other applicable standards. A properly installed MC cable can pose a significant safety hazard. By following these guidelines and consulting with qualified personnel, you can ensure that MC cable installations are safe, compliant, and reliable. Remember that the 18-inch rule is a critical safety requirement that must be followed to prevent electrical failures, fires, and other hazards. So, in summary, when working with metal-clad cable, remember the support must be within 18 inches of the termination point, and always refer to the NEC and local codes for complete and up-to-date information.